Hi, everybody. It's Kanisha Coleman, the Beauty CPA. I help beauty entrepreneurs save money on their taxes with effective tax planning and CFO services. It's been a good past 7 days so far. I've been putting out lots of content on bookkeeping and knowing your numbers. So I wanted to go live so we can just go a little bit deeper into that subject area. Before I go there, though, I do have a reminder. So October the 15th, that is another extended tax return due date. And it's about 10 days out. It's about 10 days out. So 10 days from now, October 15th, your Form 1040, that's the individual tax return, and C corporation tax returns, that's the Form 1120, are due. So if you filed an extension in the earlier part of the year and you got the automatic 6 months, well, your time is up in 10 days. Those tax returns are due, so make sure you go ahead and get that timely e-filed. Just to make sure y'all are taking all the tax deductions you are entitled to, I do have a freebie out there for you. It is the Ultimate Tax Deductions Guide for Beautypreneurs. It is thorough, and I wrote this because I used to always get the question of, what's a tax deduction, what's a tax expense, what business expenses can I take on my tax return. So I wrote a guide. It's about 19, 20, 21, maybe like a little over 20 pages. And it really, goes A to Z what a tax expense is, what's deductible, how you can tell if a business expense is deductible. Um, and then it includes two cheat sheets. One of them, it lists about 21 very, very common deduction categories that most, if not all, of your business expenses will fit into. And then it gives you some advanced tax strategies as well. So if you are interested in that freebie, go ahead and DM me the word deductions, and I will send you the link so that you can have that ultimate tax deductions guide for beautypreneurs. You can keep that in your files for your reference, to use in your business. It's not just for when you're filing a tax return. You use this, all year round, because you're going to be keep tracking those business expenses all year round, so you know what you can deduct at the end of the year. So if you are prepping a return, go ahead and DM me the word deductions, and I will send you a link to get that freebie. And you can go ahead and you can make sure the tax return that you need to file in 10 days, October the 15th, has everything you can deduct to save you some money on taxes. So let's get into bookkeeping. And I'm a little nerdy. About bookkeeping, guys. I can go on and on and on. I can go on and on about it, just because I'm really, really passionate about not the task of bookkeeping specifically, right? So not just sitting at the computer, tracking transactions. I love the story behind it. The story is just, it really gives you deep insight into how your business is performing and the health of your business. And that is always interesting, regardless if it's, performing well, or maybe it's not where you like it to be. But it's always interesting. Let me see if I got some questions here. So what if you've never filed your taxes with your business? Well, first I would think like, okay, I will make sure you had a filing requirement in the first place, right? And if you did have a filing requirement, I would just say, go ahead and get started. That's the challenge, right? Is getting started, right? Do not think that automatically triggers an audit, because it doesn't per se. It has to be something on that return that is like crazy looking to trigger an audit. But if you've never filed, go ahead and start, because the longer you go, the longer you go, the I don't want to say the worst it gets. I hate the worst, but the longer you go, the more challenging it will become. And if you made some money, of course you need to file. But if you did not make a lot of money, I would say, no harm. However, I'm gonna caution you, because if you ran a loss, that could actually benefit you. I always tell people, like, some people say, well, I didn't make any money, I made a loss. That's good too, because then you can use that loss and you can offset it against other income you may have from like a W-2 job or something, or you can carry that loss forward and use it next year for when you make money. So I would say go ahead and start filing, even if you don't have a lot to report. Go ahead and get in the habit of doing it, especially if you have a loss, because it can benefit you in the future. So, bookkeeping. So I remember telling you guys, like, I think earlier this week or maybe late last week, there are 3 big numbers I want you to, at a minimum, know, for your business. At a minimum. Now, there's a lot of numbers you can know for your business. When I say numbers, I mean specific KPIs, financial KPIs that you can know within your business. There's a ton of them. But at a minimum, for your beauty business, I want you to know at least 3. And you know what? This is any business. So you may have a beauty business, you may have a lot of other businesses in your portfolio. I try to. I've been taught to. But so for any business, know at least these 3 figures. Know revenue. That's your sales, the money you're bringing in. Know your gross profit. So that is your sales minus the cost to produce your product or deliver your service. And then know your net profit. That's the bottom line. Revenue minus all expenses. That's the last number. Know at least those 3 figures. And that is what today's topic is going to be about. And let's go deeper into each one of those. Now, let's start with revenue and sales. That's easy, right? We know what that is. Revenue or sales, however you want to say it, that's the money that we're earning. That's the money that we're bringing in every day, every month throughout the year. That's important because that's the beginning of everything. That's how you know if what you are delivering as far as your service, or that's if you know the product you have is profitable, right? If you ain't making no sales, that's, that may be over an extended period of time. That may be telling within itself whether you have a viable business. Maybe just a hobby. But if your goal is to have a business, you need to be making sales / earning revenue. This can come from the services you deliver, the products you either purchase and resell, or the products you make. Or I know some of you are selling like affiliate products. So this can be your affiliate or your commission income. Now, why is this important? Like I said, revenue is the beginning of everything. It lets you know whether you have a viable business or not. Okay. Revenue drives your profit. So I mentioned 2 other figures before: gross profit and net profit. You can't have either one of those things if there is no revenue. There's no revenue, there is no business. So I feel like that figure is self-explanatory for you to know. And you need to know this number not just once. You need to know this number every single month. And it's not for the sake of just knowing the number, right? You're tracking this number, you're monitoring this number. And so, you have a revenue figure for January, then here comes February, and here's your new revenue figure. Are you growing? Right? When you take these numbers, are you growing month after, month from month? Are you shrinking month from month? And then why? What is with the fluctuations in your revenue? Okay, so you see that you have increased revenue from January to February. Why? What did you do? Maybe that's something that you should continue doing. And then let's say your revenue decreased from February to March and April and so on and so forth. Well, why is that? And maybe you should stop doing that. And there are going to be some reasonable explanations for the fluctuation, right? There's going to be some reasonable fluctuations. For example, Christmas is about to come up, right? Black Friday is in like, I don't know what, 60 something days. I just saw somebody like literally count the number of days in the email the other day. So Black Friday is like 63, 62 days or something like that. So when it comes to small businesses and big businesses, we're going to see revenue start to go up because of Black Friday and the holiday season. That trend is going to continue through the end of the year. Depending on the industry, when January hits, what's January? Remember, January is like when everyone wants to be fresh and anew and reborn. We're getting healthier. We're going to lose weight. We're going to save more money. We're going to go back to school and educate ourselves. We're doing all of these things. That's like the new you, new year trend. So certain industries will continue to uptick through January because they'll be on that wave now, right? I know like gyms and industries in health and wellness, they usually tick up in January because of that trend, those resolution time period. But then after January is over, sales are going to go down. January, February, March, it will start to go down. And then it'll return back to normal. And you will see that in your revenue figure. So that's one of those like reasonable, logical explanations as to why there is fluctuations in your revenue figures. But beyond reasons like that, you have to know what your business's specific reasons are. And you won't be able to know that if you're not tracking or knowing this revenue figure. So that's why that's one of my big 3 figures for you to know about your beauty business is revenue. It is the start of everything. It drives profit, and you want it so that you can monitor the trend throughout the year. Okay. Now, for added analysis, consider segmenting your revenue. What I mean by segmenting is you have this big revenue figure. Let's say you made $10,000 during the month of September. Well, how much of that came from delivery of your service? How much of that came from the delivery of any products you sell? And then if this is applicable, how much came from any affiliate or commissions from you selling complementary products? Okay. That will tell you what's your moneymaker. Everyone wants to know what their moneymaker is. Is your moneymaker your service? Is it your products? Or are you really like killing it in the affiliate marketing game? Right? So consider segmenting, especially for those of you beauty entrepreneurs that are selling products. Consider segmenting your product by geography, right? Are you selling more of a certain product on the West Coast versus the East Coast versus Midwest and South? That may help you determine where you should focus more of your customer acquisition efforts. Right? Okay. So that's revenue. Know your revenue, right? And we're not just going to know it just because it's this magic number. We're going to know it for purposes of knowing what our trends are. Are we going up? Are we going down? And why? And we're going to consider segmenting our revenue by product, location, as well as time of the year, just so we know, we can focus our efforts appropriately. So my second figure I want you to know in your beauty business is gross profit. And how do we calculate gross profit? Gross profit is revenue or sales minus the direct cost of either delivering your service or producing the product. It could be producing the product or purchasing the product for resale. Now, why is that important? Why is that number important? That number is important because that number tells us whether our product or service is profitable. And I say specifically the product or the service because to determine that number, we are only taking into account the direct cost of producing or acquiring or delivering that product or service. Now, when you figure out this number, I want you to stop right there and I want you to look at this number and tell me if you are in the black or the red. If you're in the red, there's no point in moving forward. For example, if you are selling a product for $50, or if you're selling a service for $50, but it costs you $75 to deliver the service or produce the product, you know you do not have a profitable service or product. You have to do one of three things. One, raise your prices. Two, reduce your cost of goods sold. That's the accounting term. Or you can do a strategic combination of both. But once you look at your gross profit, if you're in the red, stop right there. Something needs to shift. Something needs to happen. You can't be profitable overall in your business if you're not even selling a profitable product or delivering a profitable service. Again, that analysis is important to do and to know. But once you know that what you're delivering or producing is profitable, we don't want to just know the number for the sake of knowing the number. We want to, again, monitor that number. We want to make sure that it is maintaining. Because what happens is you start off with a profitable service or product, and then you start to make tweaks, right? You start to make tweaks to the product or the service. And so maybe you start to buy more expensive, you start to have more expensive direct costs of producing the service or product. And then all of a sudden, a once profitable service or product now is no longer profitable because the inputs they've become expensive. And that can happen for a number of reasons, but you still got to track that number, the gross profit, to make sure the product and service is profitable. Now, usually I like to express this figure as a percentage. Just because one is easier to remember, like who's going to remember like a very specific number, like 2,562. Like I don't recommend you remember that month after month, but I would express it as a percentage. One is easier to remember, easier to recall. Number two, it's easier to compare to the prior period. So you can know like, okay, my margins are 50%, which is up 5% from prior period. And then you can say that to any third party that's asking you, and they'll completely understand. If you give them a number, they may not be able to put that in proper context, not knowing what the previous period figures were. So keep that in mind, okay? We are going to know our profit, our gross profit margin percentage. We're going to compare it to prior period, and we're going to know if we're up or down. That is the point of this all. Now, my third of the big three figures I want you to know in your beauty business is net profit margin. Now, the one before this, that was gross profit margin. And remember, that's just taking revenue minus the direct cost of your product and service. And that tells you if you have a profitable product or service. This net profit, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line on your profit and loss statement. That tells you how profitable your business is overall. Are you running a profitable business as a whole? And that's important to know. And I know I don't have to explain why that's important to know, but it is. Let me tell you one thing. You can have lots of revenue, tons of sales, but not be a profitable company. You can have a profitable product or service, but not have a profitable company. There are a lot of Fortune 500 companies that has millions, even billions in sales, but have not turned a profit yet. So let's get into it. What is net profit? Net profit equals revenue minus all of your expenses. All of your expenses, meaning cost of goods sold, the direct cost to produce your product or service, and all of your overhead costs. It's not about the money that you make. That figure is called revenue. It's about what you keep, right? So after all the money you've made, then all the money you spent, how much is left over? This number is important because it tells you whether you need to increase your prices, reduce your cost, or do a strategic mix of both of those things. Maybe you need to raise a little bit and go down and trim some fat off your cost a little bit. But regardless, it tells you how your business is doing overall, and that's something that you need to know. And like I said before, we don't want to know these numbers just for 1 month or even several months, just for the sake of knowing the number. We get meaning out of knowing the number because we're going to analyze whether they are increasing and decreasing over time. Knowing these numbers puts you in a position in your business to make very, very important decisions. I always say almost every decision in your business will start or end with numbers. This is not my opinion. This is fact. This should be a way of working in business. This is a best practice. Something as small as the paint color in your spa, your salon, or your studio. Because some paint colors are more expensive than others. And so that's a cost. Can we afford that? Once you have enough information, financial information, you can start to develop trends in your business. For example, if you have, a quarter or 2 quarters worth of financial information, you can say, yes, I average about $5,000 of revenue monthly. Knowing that, you can make certain decisions in your business. Someone comes to you and they want to sell you something to incorporate in your business, or you're looking at a new retail product line, or you want to buy a piece of more expensive equipment, or what have you. Okay, I average about this much in revenue a month. My gross margin is about this much, and I'm trending net profit about this much. Knowing those 3 big numbers, you can make a high-level decision on almost any cost decision in your beauty business. And you'll be able to make it like that instead of going back to financial figures and non-up-to-date bookkeeping. And if the bookkeeping is not up to date or you don't have any numbers, it's pointless. The information is useless to you at that point. So it's very important that you know, at a minimum, these 3 big figures. I'm going to recap them, then I'm going to let you all go to enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Again, what are the big 3 figures I want you to know in your beauty business? Revenue, that's your sales number. Gross profit, that's revenue minus the direct costs of producing your product or delivering your service. We call that cost of goods sold in accounting. Sorry for hitting you with the technical terms. And then we want to know net profit. That's revenue minus all of the expenses. We don't want to know them just for the sake of knowing them. We want to know them for monitoring purposes. We want to know, are we going up? Are we going down? And why? Okay. And then just remember, there are a lot of other numbers out there, but these 3 will help you greatly in your, business decision making. It will just put everything in perspective when it comes to financial decisions. Okay. If you guys have any comments, now's the time to go ahead and drop them below. If you're watching this on replay, you can leave a comment and I will get back to you. For those who are just joining, I'm Kanisha Coleman, the Beauty CPA. I exclusively serve beauty entrepreneurs to help them save money with effective tax planning and CFO services. We're talking about bookkeeping, the 3 big numbers I want you to know and what they mean. Okay. Number 1, revenue. Number 2, gross profit. Number 3, net profit. Okay. These are the big ones that I want you guys to always know. It'll help you greatly in making your decisions for your beauty business. Just as a reminder, there's 10 days into the extended tax return due date. All right. So if you haven't filed your individual tax return or your C corporation tax return, it's due on October the 15th. What day is that? That's next Thursday, guys. That's next Thursday. File that tax return. If you need assistance with making sure you are deducting everything you can, DM me the word deductions. I'm going to send you a link to my freebie, the Ultimate Tax Deductions Guide for Beautypreneurs. Okay, that's going to help you greatly because it has tons of information on what you conduct in your business, making sure you are getting all those money saving opportunities. Okay, I am going to check back in with you all later this week. I'm going to keep giving you some of this very valuable bookkeeping information because that is important. We want to have financially healthy businesses. So again, DM me if you have any questions, and I am going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining me. Talk to you soon. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a question. Do you think SquareUp is a good system for keeping track of your numbers? And if so, is it still good to have an accountant? Okay, so I'm going to answer that question really quick. I remember like a week ago, I actually made a post. And in that post, I had what is not bookkeeping. And so I'm a little biased, right? I'm a CPA. So I am going to say I am not going to recommend you count on any of your merchant accounts for bookkeeping, okay? I want you to actually do the bookkeeping. And I say that for 2 reasons. Number 1, just for a little background, the first 8 years of my career, I was an IRS agent, okay? And I often saw bank statements and merchant account statements being used to support business deductions. And I'm going to tell you that does not fly with the IRS. They will not, they'll accept them, but they're not going to use them to support any of your tax deductions. So I would say do not count on your merchant accounts to keep track of your numbers, especially when it comes to tax. Number 2, the merchant accounts and the bank accounts, they're not going to give you any insight into how your business is doing financially. None. Only bookkeeping is going to do that, and only a good either cloud system or if you have a bookkeeping Excel template will do that for you. Unfortunately, the merchant accounts, the bank account statements, they don't really do that. It's just a list of transactions. So if any of you listening need a good bookkeeping Excel template, DM me the word bookkeeping and I will send that right over to you. I have a very, very good one. This one you track monthly and it will build a set of financial statements for you at the end of the year if you have kept up with tracking the transactions monthly. But if you are in a position where you can hire an accountant, I will recommend that as well, because then it takes it off your plate and you can keep doing what you love the most, which is making the world beautiful. So thank you for your question. If you want to talk about that more, shoot me a DM. We can schedule some time to talk. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for joining me and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.